Hi everyone, Nats Myers here again, back with another video. And in this one, I'm just going to talk about what are NFTs, what they are, and how you can actually use it and leverage this trend that is happening in the crypto world. So all it is, honestly, is, what this whole thing came from is blockchain technology. And blockchain technology, that's the technology that all I was saying was this: what really are NFTs and how can you actually leverage them? And there are a lot of trends when it comes to blockchain and finance, like you see in 2017, the initial coin offering boom, and you see all these things, and what really are they and how can you actually take advantage over them instead of people just talk about it and there's a lot of confusion. Is it something that, are NFTs something that you can use to raise capital? Let's get into it right now. Yeah, and so first step, let's go through the background for those who don't understand anything, how people can leverage blockchain in order to raise capital. In 2008, during the great financial crisis, somebody called Satoshi Nakamoto came up with something that is called Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer currency. And so all of it is, that was the first iteration of what is called blockchain technology. And in a nutshell, here's how I can explain it as simply as I understand it, is simply rather than depending on a third party, a trusted third party, to validate a transaction, that being the bank in the Fedwire system, in the bank wiring system. Rather than trusting banks to validate transactions, what blockchain technology allows to happen is for you to have many people to validate the transactions. These people called miners, by solving hard mathematical problems with their computers, and they get rewarded a percentage, I believe, of the transaction. And it's a chain of transactions. So blockchain is a chain of transactions where all the transactions are viewable on a public ledger, meaning a list of all the transactions that happened. And because you have all these transactions that are publicly viewable, and because you depend on a multitude of people to validate these transactions by running their computers and solving hard mathematical problems, i.e. mining, in order to do it, then you're not depending on one central authority. Instead, you're depending on the code, you're depending on a multitude of people. And this is why, and then these are people who you don't need to trust, because the code works so well that that's what they call trustless. And it's also permissionless, because the people who can run the computers to validate the transactions, let's just, for simplicity's sake, let's just call them nodes. And you don't have to, nobody has to give them permission to be able to run. And this is why we call it permissionless. And because it's trustless and it's permissionless, we don't have to depend on somebody to give authority to somebody to partake in the ecosystem. It's free. And so that's what blockchain technology was created to do. It's to free up the burdensome way of managing transactions by staying stuck in the old way of depending on banks to validate them, especially during the financial crisis of 2008. And that is the genesis of blockchain technology and Bitcoin. And so from there, what a lot of people did is they created their own iterations of Bitcoin, because the source it's all open source. And so people copied the code and then they relaunched their own versions. You had different versions come up and emerge. In 2014, somebody called Vitalik Buterin came up with something called Ethereum. And Ethereum, similar to Bitcoin, one of its innovations, created by the son of, I think, one generation off person in Waterloo, student in Waterloo, he created a blockchain and Ethereum, rather than just focusing on the usage, on the application of transactions, he focused on the idea of using smart contracts, which are pieces of code that can automate some of the logic on the blockchain. And this created the emergence of decentralized apps. So these decentralized apps, they call them decentralized apps because, again, a lot of it was publicly viewable and available. And it leveraged some of the fundamentals that Bitcoin has created and a lot of the transaction-based cryptocurrencies created. And so rather than currency, it was focused more on decentralized applications. And so after this decentralized application rush, what happened is a multitude of people started creating the companies based out of the decentralized applications, and companies that decentralize one particular part of business, commerce, social networks, and everything. And so in 2017, the creators of Ethereum made it very easy to create your own token on the Ethereum-based blockchain. And this was called Ethereum Request for Commons number 20. So ERC20. And so after this, a lot of people were able to create initial coin offerings. And what happened is, because these were new tokens being created and being minted at a very rapid rate, what happened is that there are exchanges, cryptocurrency exchanges popping up that allowed people to trade these new cryptocurrencies, one of them being Binance and several more. And because all these things popped up, what happened is, what happened is they actually boosted in value and then went way up in value. And so that caused the 2017 ICO boom. And this is when the Securities Commission got cautious, because a lot of people were using this boom, the initial coin offering boom, to say that, hey, the reason why if you buy this token, it's going to go up in price. And the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission said that, hey, if you do that, then it's called a security, because right after the Great Depression, a lot of old grandmas and grandpas were getting scammed because people were saying that there was no regulation. And similarly, in the cryptocurrency world, that's exactly what happened. No regulation, a lot of scams, a lot of people losing money. Even I accidentally got scammed on a few exchanges and a few platforms. And so what happened is that many people started regulating them, and so that caused what is called the STO phase in 2018 to 2019. And what happened after that was the whole IEO phase, where only a few regulated exchanges and a few exchanges focused on listing certain tokens. And this caused many phases. This caused even a decentralized exchange phase, where instead of exchanges, cryptocurrency exchanges, using old traditional methods of maintaining people's cryptocurrency wallets, which can actually make the need for cryptocurrency decentralization make no sense, because why are you storing something decentralized on something centralized? And a lot of people started decentralized exchanges, where the whole thing was based on the blockchain. And there was a decentralized application, which was the exchange, basically. And so after that, people started there was another boom. There was the DeFi boom, which is still going on right during the emergence of decentralized applications. One of them was non-fungible tokens, because remember back in 2014 when we had fungible tokens, we also had non-fungible tokens. And the fungible token is just a token that isn't connected to that are unique. So it's like having many different units of something, but many of which can be unique, rather than one token being homogeneous. And that's pretty much it. And we're going crazy because they're realizing that you can connect one token to one particular item or idea, and it can be scarce, which is true, because in the age of digital abundance, there's no way to make things scarce. And so that's a good value proposition. However, it's going a bit out of hand, as you can see. And people are starting to finally, after 6 years, after 6 years, 7 years, people are finally starting to understand what they are. So that leaves us with this. How can we use this to raise capital? So the way we can use this type to raise capital is by leveraging this as secondary market research. Because in one of our other videos, we discussed what secondary market research is. So to use secondary market research would be to apply the hype in your given industry. So if you're in a business of selling paintings, I know a lot of people that work on transactions that they work on actually flipping paintings. They can actually use NFTs on their paintings and look at OpenSea and different platforms for them to do this. Because I'm in the business of assisting people in their capital raising struggles, is just for me to see people that want to raise capital for an NFT component. But if you're somebody who is in your particular industry, I just say stick to your strategy, but look at the hype as a tactic that you can leverage to get more attention for a brief amount of time. But if it's something you want to do for a long period of time, then it's just like chasing the wind and saying the grass is greener on the other side, but really the grass is just greener where you water it. And so with this, I thank you for this quick video, and I'll see you in the next one.